Greetings, programs. Disney is planning on rebooting Joss Whedon's Firefly series as an exclusive for its streaming platform, Disney+. What do you think about that, Blue?
This I am extremely excited about hearing that Firefly may be coming back. I was a huge Firefly fan back in, 2002. I probably didn't quite watch it in 2002, a couple years later. I was probably 14 when I saw it, so probably more like mid-2000s. But I loved Firefly when it came out. It was one of my favorite shows for sure.
I watched Serenity first in the theaters.
Oh, okay.
And that's what got me interested in watching Firefly.
See, I started with Firefly, and it made Serenity worse for me. But I did love Firefly, and Serenity was okay. Now, we have this article from MovieWeb telling us a little bit about what we know for Firefly coming out. A couple of the things that could be good and could be bad. We know Joss Whedon originally directed Firefly, and it is very unlikely Joss Whedon will be involved with this project at all due to the controversy surrounding him. So that might be good, but I really did like Joss Whedon's take on Firefly. So that has me a little nervous, because I'm not sure who will be directing and writing this. And I did really like what Joss Whedon did with it.
I haven't seen anything since Firefly that's really blown me away that Joss Whedon has done. I know he was involved with the Avengers. And that was an okay movie. I think for what it was good. But I just, as a standalone, like as the culmination of that universe, it was good. As a standalone film, I didn't really like it that much. His most recent work that I've seen is the Justice League, and that was awful. That was really, really bad. I really don't have too much of an opinion, or I don't have too many negative feelings about him not being involved with the new series. There are some concerns with this new report. Disney is going to be putting it on its streaming platform, Disney Plus, apparently. And with all the shows that I've seen on Disney Plus, they have been hit and miss, but largely they've been misses for me. So I don't have a lot of hope for this because if Joss Whedon is not involved with it, if it was his brainchild, then I'm not sure that they could do something that really captures that same spirit. Secondly, it's Disney and it's going on Disney Plus. So I don't think that bodes well for it either. Now there's a few other points in here that I think go to its detriment. This project is kind of, in my eyes, it's not going to live up to what the original was. One of the biggest things is it doesn't look like they're getting the same cast.
Yeah, and they also mentioned it will likely not be a continuation of the story. So it may be just a completely new story with a completely new cast and a completely new writer-directing team. So I'm not even sure if they can call it Firefly. If it's a new cast, a new story, a new director, why? They're just doing the Firefly name for the Firefly name, which it seems like what Disney likes to do. And all these other streaming, like with Amazon and Lord of the Rings. It seems like they're giving us kind of generic fantasy or generic sci-fi from what we know, but just slapping on a big name.
And here's the real problem that I see with this. Overall, Disney loves to acquire and repurpose. Now, they bought Fox. Yeah, so they acquired Fox back in 2018, and I guess that's why they feel like they can reboot this now. And they've done this with, it seems like every property they've acquired, and then they've used the name of the property, but have really missed the mark in living up to the spirit of that. The only exception, I would say, is with Marvel. They did a very good job at building something new, but they had to kind of start from scratch there. They didn't really have anything they were building on. They started from scratch with Iron Man and Thor, and they were able to cobble something together that was really, really good. But then when it comes to taking something that's already really good and continuing it further, they've really dropped the ball. And so, if you're not going to get Nathan Fillion back, Nathan Fillion, in my mind, is the only person who could play Mal.
Yes.
And Adam Baldwin is the only person in my mind that I could see playing Jane. And then there's a lot of other cast members there. But those two stand out. Now, obviously, Alan Tudyk, his character was killed off in Serenity. Spoiler alert. But if they were to bring this back with the original cast, Alan Tudyk's an amazing actor. Nathan Fillion is an amazing actor. Adam Baldwin is awesome as well. Those are just some iconic characters. And then you had all the other characters that filled out that cast that were really good, really solid. And they kind of knew that they were ending it with Serenity. I think you just leave this where it's at. I don't think you're going to have well, you're going to have a good response from fans who will just consume whatever they put out there, but I don't think you're going to have a good response from fans who are wanting to compare this to the original and wanting something as good as the original. There's no way that you're going to be successful at this.
The one thing that might work, just to try to have a positive spin on it, is because they are changing it so much, it may be just so completely different that they create something that's original and good. If it has all new cast members, a whole new storyline, and they're not just trying to recreate what came before, then maybe they'll just give us something that's original and a fun sci-fi show to watch. I personally really loved Inara, and it's not that she was so important, maybe overall in the story, because I haven't seen it in a while since I was a teenager. But the relationship between Mel and Inara was a big deal for me when I watched that, and I really enjoyed those two together. So I'm hoping that will be a part of the project, something like that, and we have like a nice love interest that's not too childish, but still will take you back to that feeling of, being a kid again.
So Marina Baccarin is another one, and that's who played Inara. Marina Baccarin is an amazing actress as well. She's been, I think most recently, she's been in the Deadpool movies. She was in Stargate. She's been in a lot of good sci-fi stuff. And I feel like you just have too many iconic actors playing beloved characters that if they decide to recast those same characters, that will be a disaster. A disaster. Now, I just saw Uncharted, and the same thing, you're looking at Tom Holland playing Nathan Drake, and he doesn't look like Nathan Drake. You know who does look like Nathan Drake? The guy who did Nathan Drake in a fan film, Nathan Fillion, who would have been... It's so funny that it's so similar, but that Nathan Fillion played Mal, and he also should have been playing Nathan Drake. So they love casting these young people for these recognizable roles, but it really doesn't look right, it doesn't feel right, so I feel like that's what's going to happen here. It's not going to look right, it's not going to feel right. I think what they should do is create something in the same universe, maybe even a similar style ship, but don't recast those same characters, don't try to tell that same story, because that would be a disaster. I feel like everyone loves the original so much. It's not like Dune, right? They just remade Dune, because that first movie was a disaster, the 1984 Dune. That's why you could remake it, and people would like it. Like, looking at all these remakes they're doing now, like the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air show they remade, that's a disaster, because the original was so good, you're never going to top it, so why even try? If you're going to pay homage to it and do something in the same spirit as that, okay, but don't try to tell the same story again, just worse. That's what they're going to do here. I have a strong feeling, and I would love to be wrong, but I have a strong feeling that's what they're going to do here. I think their best bet, tell a story somewhere else in the same universe, connect it. That way Firefly fans can feel like this all connects to that same story. And you could even have a callback. Wouldn't that be great to have a new show, new characters, and then you could have cameos from some of these old characters that survived through Serenity?
That would be cool. Now they're a little older and they're doing something else, but they show up for an episode. And you'd be like, hey, I know these guys.
Exactly.
And they have a little interaction. That would be awesome, yeah.
Yeah. So I feel like that's their best hope. I don't feel like it's make or break with Joss Whedon, because I really feel like he's lost a lot of whatever he had. He did a good job with this. I really don't know enough about his involvement with it and how much collaboration he had, I mean, you saw George Lucas do the original trilogy on Star Wars, but then he did the prequels, and you're like, ooh, that's the same guy? Okay, they don't really look the same. So I think that'd be a similar thing. Even if they were to get him involved, it probably wouldn't look or feel the same if you tried to redo it with the same characters. So
yeah, for me, the charisma between Mel and Inara was really what carried this show. I loved the Western sci-fi theme. That was very charming. And then the other storylines were interesting and engaging too. If they're going to make this a success, they really need to make sure it brings that charm that Firefly had and not try to reach beyond what they're capable of doing. I have not super high hopes. I hope it goes well. I don't really trust Disney a lot of times. Like you said, it's a lot of hit or miss and usually misses. But they do give us some good stuff. So we could see something good coming out of this. So we'll definitely review it as it comes out in the future. Unfortunately, we don't have any kind of release date yet. We don't even have the cast. So we lack a lot of information. But as we gain more information, we will keep you updated with the news. And when it does come out, we'll be sure to do some reviews on it. And those were our thoughts on the reboot from Disney Plus on Firefly. If you enjoyed, please give us a like, a subscribe, and let us know your thoughts in the comment section below. Ending transmission.